Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches: Cincinnati Bengals vs Washington Football Team and Kansas City Chiefs vs Arizona Cardinals, which are happening on Friday, August 20th, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. And if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 270 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Cincinnati Bengals vs Washington. The Washington football team will look to bounce back after suffering a 22-13 loss in the preseason opener against the New England Patriots. Washington was able to outgain New England by a 367-320 margin and dominated the offensive time of possession. However, Washington had trouble putting points on the scoreboard and allowed the Patriots to pull away late on a 91-yard TD run by Ramondre Stevenson. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 5 for 8, 58 yards, started the game for Washington, while both Taylor Heinicke, 9 for 15, 86 yards, and Steven Montez, 17 of 24, 108 yards, 1 TD, 1 INT, both played well in relief. Jarrett Patterson, 10 car, 40 yards, 4 rec, 30 yards, led Washington in both rushing and receiving yards. The other top targets in the receiving game were Terry McLaurin, 2 rec, 25 yards, Sammis Reyes, 2 rec, 25 yards, Logan Thomas, 1 rec, 24 yards, and Jonathan Williams, 4 rec, 22 yards. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to try to make strides this season with quarterback Joe Burrow and his collegiate teammate wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase. Chase only had a single target in the first preseason game, but he caught it for 16 yards. Burrow is not going to play in this game, but getting Chase into a good flow can really help once the season officially kicks off. He's going to have to try to fill the shoes of wide receiver AJ Green, who left this offseason, but also has some solid wideouts like Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins also in the formation at the receiver spot. Cincinnati finished 25th in passing yards, but dealt with some quarterback issues due to injury, so the more Ja'Marr Chase understands the offense, the more the Bengals will benefit. My betting advice for that game is to pick Cincinnati Bengals +5. The Washington football team is going to need a good rushing attack to help Ryan Fitzpatrick out and take some pressure off of him. The running backs Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic are going to need to take that next step, and they did well in their limited snaps in the opening preseason game. Gibson finished the first game with 5 rushes for 15 yards, while McKissic had a single rush for 2 yards. The Patriots have a solid rushing defense, so the limited plays make it even more difficult. These two backs are expected to both spend a good chunk of snaps on the field, so if they can establish some more yardage, it will be great for Washington to dominate once the regular season rolls around. Cincinnati picked up a win over the defending Super Bowl champions on the road in their preseason opener as they downed the Buccaneers. The Bengals look to continue their preparation for a hopefully successful 2021 campaign this week. Against Tampa Bay, Cincinnati trailed 6-0 after the opening quarter before scoring 16 unanswered points in the middle 2 stanzas. The Bengals took the lead for good at 7-6 with 13 seconds to play in the first half on a 1-yard scoring run by Chris Evans. My betting advice for that game is to pick under 34.5. Quick reminder, you can get 125% cashback bonus on your first deposit on our partner sportsbook BetUS after you open an account using our link down below and use our promo code HIGHSTAKES when making your deposit. Kansas City Chiefs vs Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals took down the Dallas Cowboys by the final score of 19-16 in Week 1 of the NFL preseason. Arizona needed 2 late field goals to tie and win the game in the late stages of the fourth quarter. Quarterback Chris Streveler played most of the second half in the win, going 12-24 for 107 yards. He also added 10 carries for 55 yards and was the team's leading rusher. Colt McCoy only had 7 pass attempts in the game, but completed 6 of them for 69 yards. Coach Kingsbury stated that he does not believe DeAndre Hopkins will suit up for this game against the Chiefs. Quarterback Kyler Murray will more than likely make his preseason debut, but he and the coaching staff will limit his reps. Expect Colt McCoy, the team's current backup, to play in a majority of the Cardinals' drives. Head coach Andy Reid decided to send out his starters for a drive in the first week of the preseason. Reid wants the new offensive line to hear Mahomes' voice with crowd noise, reports Pete Sweeney. The Chiefs will have an entirely new offensive line than they had last season. Orlando Brown, Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith and Lucas Niang all saw more playing time after Mahomes left after the first drive in week 1 of the preseason. The offensive line is a huge focus for the Chiefs this season after the debacle in the Super Bowl. Reid has stated the starters will play roughly the entire first half of the game. My betting advice for that game is to pick Kansas City Chiefs minus 2.5. The NFC West is the best division in the NFL. All 4 teams in the division can make the playoffs. This is a big year for head coach Cliff Kingsbury and quarterback Kyler Murray. They both enter their 3rd year after failing to make the playoffs in their first 2 seasons. They just missed the playoffs last season and went 8-8, so they will be looking to make the playoffs this season and take another step forward. The Kansas City Chiefs defeated the San Francisco 49ers by the final score of 19-16 in their first preseason game. Patrick Mahomes played in the team's first drive on offense, but only managed to complete 1 of 2 passes for 4 yards. For the Chiefs, last week's game was a chance to debut some young and exciting players such as QB Anthony Gordon from Washington State and QB Shane Buechele from SMU. A total of 8 running backs had rushing attempts in the win, and 16 different players had receptions as well. The Chiefs held the 49ers to only 208 passing yards in the game. In week 2, Andy Reid has announced that his starters are going to get the chance to clock in more minutes. Reid mentioned that the starters will play roughly the entire first half of play. In the second half, we can expect Chad Henne to take the majority of snaps at quarterback for KC. My betting advice for that game is to pick O.